Welcome back to another episode of Full Circle with me, Onyx. And today I feel like talking about the psychological cage that we are in. And we have constructed it, it's a construct, and most of us don't realize when we're stuck in it, when we're stuck into our personal matrix or the collective matrix, the dream, the illusion, samsara, whatever you like to call it, self deception, when we are possessed with thoughts and feelings that are destructive, that are limiting us. Anytime you feel limitation, you're probably in the construct, okay? So, over the years, so at the very beginning, let's just start at the beginning. I actually went and got training, uh, processed in a 3-month corporate course of basically undoing yourself, kind of like rebirthing, picking yourself up off the ground, dusting yourself off, and you know, it was it was life it was life coaching on steroids. It was a lot. It cost a lot, and it was a lot to just go through it so quickly when you need to process yourself. So it's hard to grasp all the information in a corporate setting of like 40 people in a classroom, all kind of going through a process of A, B, C, D. You're all better, out the door you go, you know? And thanks for paying us. Um, but I have the ability to kind of swallow large chunks of information, then slowly digest it over time, self reflect on it, kind of like go through my memory files, kind of piece it together, under so after the program, I felt messed up. I was you know pretty out of control. Uh, so the reality of it is the world is so much bigger than you are. The world as an environment, the world as a stage, the world as a collective mind. We want to we want to explore space. We want to explore under the ocean. We want power. We want control. We are, as a collective, afraid of certain things, and so the collective has its program, and it's a large environment, and it does affect us to a degree, especially when you're not conscious of it. So, not all your thoughts, not all your feelings are yours. In the collective ocean of energy, frequencies, and thoughts and feelings being broadcasted by everyone, uh, we're like in a cosmic soup. You're like, how come when I go out the front door, I can't be myself? Or how come I'm in my friend group and I get like a contact high, or I get contact drunk, or everyone's silly and I kind of get hypnotized, and then I'm silly and I act like a fool. Then I might go home and criticize myself. How did I let myself get so far? Well, you're in an ocean of shared frequencies. So you've been in an ocean of shared frequencies since the womb, since your family, since your culture, since the time period you're in. So, I want to give you a huge permission slip not to own everyone's problems so personally. When we personalize things, when we say, that is me, I am that, we really start to own those frequencies, take it upon ourselves, and that's a lot. You don't have to heal the whole world yourself, you know. You don't have to accidentally subscribe to such a huge helping of energy. So I'm going to say that could lead to medical symptoms, that could lead to symptoms of depleted energy, exhaustion, burnout, feeling drained, like vampirically. Why does this environment drain me? Why does this group of friends drain me? You're unconsciously saying yes to those vibrations and frequencies. So it's good to honor yourself and say, hey, I'm not feeling. When your thoughts start to shift into an agreement or an alignment with things that you normally wouldn't, something going against your personal standards, ethics, and values, your sense of identity, you can choose out. You can say, thanks for the offer. Thanks for the contrast. I now make a different choice in my highest good. It serves me to leave work early today. It serves me to get a different job, find different friend groups, break out of the mold, break out of the pattern. So in this construct, I like to visualize a cube. And a cube has like 6 sides. Let's start at the bottom since we started talking with the environment. Now that you know consciously, whoa, my environment impacts me. So it's no wonder they say if you want to change the world, first start with cleaning up your room. So your environment is really important. When you feel disorganized, how can you feel clear in yourself to make right decisions, healthy decisions? And and so literally your environment is a reflection of you. Your world is a reflection of you. Your friend groups is a reflection of you. Your job, your career, everything you do, everything you say is a reflection. So, the number one principle to help you own and stop denying, to see your shadow, to see your blind spots, is to look in the mirror. And what's really cool is reality is a mirror. And you can just start looking at it and just you get to notice. You get an opportunity. The people fighting in your environment, why are you allowing it? Why do you choose to stay? Why do you choose to get involved? That's just something to look at. So you don't need to dive into self-criticism and judgment. You don't need to play the hero, but you can just start observing your world. It's always giving you feedback. So this is the number one key uh, in the course that I went through. Why am I sharing this material with you? We are at a time where we just need it. And it just works. Not everyone has the money. At different times in my life, I had money. Currently, I did not. Um, and so money shouldn't stop you from having clarity. And you also have a limited amount of time on earth, okay? You could be having an environmental situation, but it's showing up as emotional. It's showing up as thinking, psychological. It's showing up as uh, other things in your life. You know, it could be forcing your personality uh, to overreact and stuff. So I grew up in a time period where uh, gender alternative choices weren't available. Labels, it wasn't accepted. And so I didn't realize, it didn't hit me consciously why every time like I would go home or visit an old town that I used to live, I would get really angry. I'm like, I'm not an angry person. I'm actually a sweetheart. Love and light, peace. Like that is my truth. Wisdom, clarity, that is my truth. Let's just discuss it. Let's not get in an argument. And then I would find myself angry, really angry. So, obviously I left and it'd take me a few weeks to recover just from going home. And I was like, oh, the conditions of the environment, even though it's not said, isn't in agreement, isn't supportive. It's not safe to be gay. It's not safe. I don't have permission to be fully expressing myself. It just happens to come with a caveat that my gender orientation is gay. So the restriction, the unsaid restrictions in the environment, you know, these invisible rules, these invisible laws, uh, you know, wasn't allowing for the full expression. Everyone was going to be triggered. Everyone was going to be in an uproar. They're all going to be hurting because they're carrying beliefs that aren't inclusive. So it's hard to understand the psychological, emotional climate within environments. Sometimes you need to step out. So it was affecting my emotional health, my physical health, my mental well being. You know, it was like an invisible uh, creature haunting me. And it was due to variables that seemed out of my control. I have the control, I have the choice to leave, or, and it's really hard when it's your family members, it's hard when it's home base, your sense of security, you know. And so environments play big factors. Staying in a toxic relationship. So your environment includes substances, props, it includes wardrobe, it includes cars, vehicles. It's like the stage and the props, which includes other people. Other people are like props in your life. They're mirrors to play parts and act out to show you more of yourself, more of what's going on. So if you have someone who's in constant disagreement, that's a reflection of maybe you have beliefs and attitudes that are inside of you that you're holding unconsciously that are in disagreement. So when we have internal conflict, it's actually a question of personal integrity. I'm going to say that again. When you're having emotional conflicts, when you're having mental conflicts, when you're having emotional and mental conflicts within yourself, like a war, the conflict is a conflict of integrity. So somewhere you're what you say, what you think, what you believe are not in alignment. They're not in accord. It's not a fine-tuned instrument singing the true note. The emotions, the responsive, how you feel, you know, what you attach to these conflicting thoughts and beliefs. So you could be holding an ideal concept in your mind, but what you actually believe is very different. Like a good example is love for everyone. I believe everyone should be loved. But you also believe, um, unless I believe everyone should be punished if they're not helping their neighbor, if they're doing this and that. And so here you are holding two different beliefs. And so there becomes a conflict. Wait a minute, we're all supposed to be treating each other nice. Love, also another belief, looks like hugs, vulnerability, safety, and permission. Yet here you are coming to take advantage of me. You are a friend of me. You come into my house. You, you, you're not helping. So we have all these beliefs and all this stuff inside of ourselves. As soon as you have conflict, you have conflicting ideas, conflicting beliefs. Always. So I'm throwing that out there because conflict brings opportunity for resolve, to come back to oneness, come back to harmony, come back to integrity, come back to our truth, come back. So disassociation. Um, let's see, what else is another word that they use. I can't remember right now. is a nice way to say, cognitive dissonance. Both of these terms basically mean you're splitting yourself off. So part of you is into this one love, permission, safety, neighborly, everything's all good, everything's all innocent. The other part of you is maybe love with expectations. Love, you must, love is also serving me and me getting the better under the deal. So I wash the dishes, you pay the bills, and mate with me. I mean, okay, that's not fair, right? So we have conditions, we have all these weird, strange ideas and expectations or definitions and contracts we have with these concepts like love, contracts, what we expect the other person to think, do, and behave around us, adjust and modify themselves to make themselves agreeable enough that we'll actually stay in the room with them. So, contracts. And so we have a blanket belief. Oh, yeah, I'm very loving. Oh, I believe in love. Love you. And then what we also have underneath is unless it looks like this, unless you behave like that. So that's not really love. That's not really permission. So we kind of deceive ourselves, lie to ourselves, ignore the truth, silence ourselves, undermine ourselves, gaslight ourselves, steamroll ourselves, throw ourselves under the bus, and we do it to others. So, um, we just have to kind of throw that out there at the beginning to really understand most of our conflicts. So, anytime you're having energy issues with your environment, with other people, integrity, emotional, mental. So, integrity and authenticity, um, when you are integrous, you automatically create healthy boundaries. You don't sell yourself short. You, so, a core, so be integrous, see the value. Having integrity gives you so much more than drama, manipulating, being anything less than your greatest self. Authenticity, they're saying on the scale, we thought love was the highest vibration. Turns out authenticity is. I'm like, you know what? When we use these words like authentic, love, um, gratitude, appreciation, they encompass a huge field. Like imagine a spider web that's now a sphere. And each of these points on the spider web um, is a nuanced understanding of the whole entire concept. We sum it up with one word and we call it love. Or we sum it up with one word and call it God. We sum it up in one word and say um, criminal or dirty or disgusting. And it's really hard for people to get past that surface level language and understand the kaleidoscope, this full sphere with all those little patterns and angles. We don't really reflect on it and break it down. We don't really digest it and put it in correct context. So, misunderstanding, confusion, I like to say mistakings. Like, let's take a picture. You are now framed as the good guy, safe. And then we get surprised when that snapshot, when that image, when that blanket idea that blinds us and makes us so naive, it surprises us when people act out of our definition, act out of character from our expectation. And it's like, love is very nuanced, safe is very nuanced, and you have to kind of hit multiple points. And the more um, points you get, the more of a 3D, you have to fill it out. The more clarity happens, the more strength happens, the more integrous, the more honest, the more clear, the more true, the higher the bandwidth, the deeper the understanding, and that eliminates those gaps, those areas where things slip into the cracks, where we get surprised, where we are blind, where we are self-deceptive, where it's like it's a better filtration system. Let me push pause. Hold on. All right, I'm back. Had to get my breakfast out of the little air fryer oven. So good. So we left off with a better filtration system, yes, um, but it also increases your intelligence. Okay, so I like to really give people the benefit of the doubt that they're not actually trying to get you. That what's going on is a lot of misunderstanding. So when we empower ourselves to get educated, self knowledge, uh, by like listening to a video like this, if you feel attracted to it, there's so many ways to fill in the gaps in our life to get better understanding, better clarity, which strengthens your frequency, which the more intelligent you are, emotionally, spiritually, mentally, cognitively, neurologically, the greater your bandwidth, the more information you can process. It actually strengthens your energy, it levels you up. So, the internet gives you a baseline level of information. It's not really quality content, it's not university level. It tells you things like, you know, like glow up. It tells you things like drop friends, family, loved ones, be alone, be stoic. And all these people, I kind of feel like have an agenda to make money, to get attention, but they're not really they're not giving you enough information to make an informed decision, to decide if that's your truth, to decide if that's really healthy in your particular situation. So we get a whole bunch of generalized information, and I think that is the actual problem. You only have what, 80 years of life that are healthy and good and usable, and within that probably 20. And so, who has the time? It better mean something to you. It better relate directly to your life. Your next level uh, might depend on you emotionally growing up. It might depend on you expanding your mind a little bit. You need to be informed. So, we need a real world education, we need a social education. you know, and people can so yeah, lots of gaps missing in we don't have all the resources and to the depths and the richness and the breadth of information available to you. There's so much information, we're just kind of skimming on the surface, um, is what I'm saying. So we're left with not fully thought out, not fully understood truths, beliefs, values. A lot of things are taken a little bit out of context, self serving context. You know, I've had plenty of friends who justify themselves by spouting out some philosophical statement or a meme that was online and was trending to justify their misbehavior. Okay. Anyways, really, I was just going to talk about the 6 sides of the box. What are they? We talked about environment, and we really started to go into the other face of the box, the second side, and it's thoughts, beliefs, programmings, and subscriptions. The world is offering us ideas. That's all it's offering us. conclusions. Those are all ideas. It's offering a lot of mental ideas. Those are made up. You know, these perspectives, these angles, all this content, it's kind of not real. It's kind of coming and going, and yet in in our minds, it's as real as a mountain. She said she never wants to see me again. You know, that was like a real stop sign or a red light. You had to throw on the brakes of your life, of your joy, because of that statement. It's not even materialized as a real stop sign. It's not materialized as a tree in your backyard. Yet, you assume it is. You mistaken it has that much power. We give so much power to an idea. You know, people go to war over an idea. People believe it was actually part of history over an idea. A story, a fiction story. You know, my truth isn't your truth, so it might as well be almost fiction. It might as well, on one paradox way, count for nothing. You have to see it for your own eyes. Yet, we go, I trust his opinion. I trust his view. I trust his perspective. I'm going to subscribe to that. I'm just going to say, that's good. And I will now adopt his perspective on life. The whole world is saying we're going in, you know, the sky is falling. So now I'm going to stay in today. You know, how many people subscribe to the End of the World 2020? End of the World 2012? End of the World. How many people subscribed, you know, into things that aren't real? How come so many religious icons have no history? It's like they never existed. Was the idea immortal? If I can keep, it's so much easier to keep the idea of a god in a culture that can last hundreds of years than an actual person with all their flaws. So a, a, a myth, a story can last forever. So the Olympian gods can last forever. They can outlive generations. And what is a god but an idea? So we turn idea. So we have these invisible walls, and most of them are beliefs that we subscribe to. So when you have conflict, you're having the mirror is showing you something contrary to a belief that offered you a false security. You know, it offered you a sense of safety or permission to do what you do, like a permission slip to misbehave. You know, you criminalize someone else, that gives you the grace and permission to think negative towards them. So you subscribe to a belief that's always in your favor, not the other person's. So we're really kind of going into the next face of the cube. I actually call it ego and drama. It's egotistical. It's self-serving. We're always self-serving. Understand it's actually correct to be self-serving. It's also correct to subscribe. It's also correct to have environments. But when they're not serving you, when they're out of balance and they're only serving you, and it's not honoring and respecting others, then we get into problems, you know. So it's a matter of balance, you know. But how convenient how for me to subscribe to ideas that support my race, my gender. How convenient is it for me to subscribe to victim and martyr stories of abuse that give me justification to then act out my pain and suffering on other people. And I unconsciously believe I'm the good guy and I'm really the villain. And that's very much explored in comics. So You can explore a lot of things uh, through games, through acting out in fiction, like novels, fantasy fiction, and it kind of makes sense. Do it there. Do it in a comic book. Do it on the screen. Uh, these as we explore scenarios, because the reality of it is we don't really want to act that out on a living person. Okay, and deal with the consequence of our actions, the karma that's instantly served. People think, karma is something that's not instant. Oh, it's instant. You live with the guilt. You live with the of that energy exchange. Okay. So we've now talked about three faces: environments that are supportive and unsupportive, that agree and disagree. We talked about beliefs. We get programmed. We're always being offered ideas, and we select. Whether we're fully conscious of it or not, we choose to agree, disagree. It goes through our filtration. Some stuff is kind of forced upon you. You have to eat this, you have to do this, you have to believe this in order to stay in this family, in order to survive. So sometimes, and still you have a right, but it seems a lot like sometimes the peer pressure, the social pressure is like having a gun to your head. You need to be against these people. You need to believe in these things. So you spend a lot of time. There's a lot of institutional pressure to have you conform, and you'll get an A in class and pass, you know, or you'll be seen as good and go to heaven. All these like really absurd, childish things. When you really think about it, uh, we are a naive species, and we're being played all the time by very childish games because we lack the perspective. And so it's like you're thrown into the swimming pool the first day you're born, and you're expected to swim. And if you can't swim, if you don't master the art of swimming, you're going to drown. And so we see a lot of people suffering, giving up on their, they can't see the shoreline. They don't know if the journey ever ends. They don't have a way out. They don't have a roadmap. They get taken out by the construct, by the psychological gel. That's really kind of what's going on. So I'm offering these ideas to you. The video is gonna short out, so we'll leave it there, and we'll continue this discussion in the next video. Have a great day.